Most electrical businesses you've worked for, and maybe the business you own, do everything: construction, residential, commercial, service, data, security, you name it. You think you have to offer every service an electrician can do so you can get jobs and keep your guys busy. But I'm here to tell you not to do that and what you should do instead. I made this very mistake in my own business and ended up wasting years working my ass off, running around like a chicken with his head cut off, because in reality, I was a brand new business owner trying to run 5 totally different businesses. In this video, I'm going to talk about the reality of offering multiple services, what really happens to the inventory, pricing, and growth of your business when you do this, so you can make a decision about niching down and offering only one service, so your business can actually grow without you going crazy along the way. And there's no doubt that you as an electrician can actually do all of these different parts of the industry, resi, commercial, construction, service, data, whatever. But let's take our boots off for a second and actually consider how offering all of these services affects the operations of the business. First, let's look at our inventory. See, every part of the trade has different types of materials. So one day you might have to buy a roll of 14-2 Romex to fish wiring in a house. Then the next day you need to pull number 12 into a conduit. And these are totally different materials. You can't use the Romex that you bought yesterday because you need number 12. So now you have to go out and buy another $300 roll of wire and EMT stuff just for that commercial job. Then maybe the next day you have a data job. Now you have to go buy some Cat 5 cable, testers, punch down tools, and whatever else you need for this data job. And you can quickly see that not only are you getting a large stock of inventory right off the bat in your new business, which actually isn't a good thing, you're drying up your cash reserves buying all of this material that will now take you months to profit from. In the inventory management world, this is called carrying cost. Industry standards estimate that the annual cost of holding inventory is roughly 20 to 30% of that inventory's total value. This includes storage, insurance, shrinking, which means theft and damage, rattling around in the vans and stuff, and crucially, opportunity cost, which is that money being tied up on a shelf rather than being used for marketing or hiring. Instead of buying only materials for, say, residential that you use every single day on every single job. When you do this, you don't spend all your hard-earned profit on materials that end up sitting around forever. And you profit from the materials you bought much faster because you're only offering one service. All the materials are the same, and you only offer this service so you go through those materials much faster. Imagine a restaurant trying to serve sushi and deep dish pizza. Totally, completely different sets of ingredients. The raw fish spoils while you're out there selling pizza, and the cheese molds while you're rolling sushi. So you're paying to store food that you aren't cooking. A focused kitchen, like a focused electrical van, turns ingredients into cash daily. A mixed kitchen turns cash into waste. But a growing pile of materials isn't the only thing draining your bank account and holding you back. The real danger of trying to do it all is that while you're switching materials in the field, you're constantly switching the pricing and the quoting model to get those jobs. And that brings us to the second issue, which is how different each part of the industry is in the way we quote, price, and sell jobs. When you're bidding on construction work, you're working as an estimator. You're bidding on a set of prints, and you're doing complex takeoffs, counting every receptacle, measuring every round of pipe, and trying to calculate labor units for a competitive bid. Your brain's in construction mode, low margin, high volume work. And there's no aspect of sales, customer service, or urgency. You're just trying to make the lowest bid and send it over email to wait for a response. Now compare that to a service call. You get a demand call from a customer who expects you to be there as soon as possible. You have to wear a uniform, booties, have great customer service, sales skills, and a pricing system that's quick and easy to use so that you can give them a price right then and there, so you can sell the job and install it as soon as possible. The quoting and pricing for these jobs is totally different. You're supposed to be using flat rate pricing and have the ability to make a great profit margin, and most importantly, the face-to-face sales skills. The reason why you're feeling so overwhelmed and why you aren't killing it at anything is because you're operating totally different business models. This isn't just a feeling, it's a psychological phenomenon called context switching. The American Psychological Association reports that switching between tasks, like switching from an estimator brain to a service brain, can cost as much as 40% of someone's productive time. It takes an average of 23 minutes to fully regain focus after a major switch. And this makes your business really complicated and ineffective. You don't see it because you're busy doing stuff, but I bet you feel it. You know there's a system and pricing you should be using, but you haven't put that in place. So you just build time and material or whatever to make it work. You have no sales process, and you're miles away from a company that has service totally figured out. You're just wasting every call you run. Same goes for bidding jobs. You don't have your bidding process tuned in. You aren't tracking past job performance, win rates, post-job profit margins, and adjusting accordingly. And you're not even following up properly on the bids you sent in. Creating quotes takes you days or even weeks because you don't have a streamlined system for either one. You know you're losing customers because of this delay. You end up emailing quotes late at night, exhausted, and then you fail to follow up because you're so busy. Now, I'm just giving you examples here, and you might be really good at one of these things, but it brings to light what's really happening when you say yes to that random job you get a call for because you hate saying no, or you just need to keep your guys busy. And you're scrambling trying to get involved with every call you get, all the while coming up short because you don't really know what you're doing in that part of the industry. And all the while, there's someone who does only that part of the industry. They have all their systems totally figured out, tuned in, and optimized. And the truth is, you're just wasting that opportunity for someone who can actually do good with it. The athlete analogy is really good here. An athlete doesn't do every professional sport that comes their way just because they're an athlete. They pick a specific sport and spend their life becoming the best they can at it. I think it's safe to assume that if a swimmer tried to go and play in the NBA, they wouldn't do so great, even though they're an athlete. Focus on one part of the industry only, and I promise you that it'll make your business easier to run and grow. But if that point wasn't enough to convince you how complicated it is offering every service that falls under electrician, you're gonna wanna listen to the next hidden issue with being the everything electrician. And that brings us to the core reason why you feel like you're busy as hell, but not growing. It's the belief that you're running one electrical business. But if you're doing everything, residential, commercial, service, new construction, data, security, I'm here to tell you that you aren't running one business. You're trying to run 5 separate startups at the same time. I want you to really think about this for a second. We lump it all under the word electrical, but operationally, these are completely different industries. First, let's look at the customer. If you're doing residential service, your customer's a homeowner. They care about safety, cleanliness, if you're a friendly person, and whether you wear your boot covers. You're selling trust and convenience at their kitchen table. Now let's compare that to commercial construction. Your customer's a general contractor or a project manager. They don't care about your shoe covers. They care about your schedule, the specs, and usually who has the lowest number for the job. You aren't selling trust, you're selling compliance to a blueprint for the lowest price. In fact, you aren't selling at all. You're putting together a bid and sending it over email, and that's it. Now, how do you build a marketing plan for both? You can't. One requires Google Ads, reviews, uniforms, transparent pricing, and quick service. The other requires networking and job bidding platforms that you sign up for. You're splitting your marketing budget and your attention in half right out the gate. Second, let's look at your cash flow. And this is where businesses die. Cash is king. And in service, you finish the job, you present the bill, and you get paid instantly via credit card or check. Your cash flow cycle is about 24 hours or right after the job. In commercial or new construction, you do the work, you submit an invoice, and then you wait. You wait for net 30, net 60, sometimes net 90-day terms. You're effectively acting as a bank, financing the job for the customer while you pay for labor and materials up front. It drains your bank account, and you need to become very financially responsible and aware. And when you mix these two, it's kind of a nightmare. What you do is you end up robbing Peter to pay Paul, using quick cash cash from a service job just to cover the payroll for the construction company that hasn't paid you in 2 months. It creates immense financial stress because you can never predict your bank balance. And finally, let's take a look at your employees. You're trying to hire a unicorn, really. You need a guy that's hardworking enough to slam out a rough-in in a house in no time flat and not deal with customers, bend conduit and run the 3-phase wiring on a construction site efficiently, but polite and polished enough to troubleshoot a grandma chandelier and work in their house without swearing. It's already hard enough finding employees that are good at one thing. Even the uniforms are totally different. As you know, you gotta have steel toe boots, hard hats, safety glasses, and high vis on construction sites. Then when you go to a customer's home, you have to have a nice uniform, be clean cut, and wear footwear that is clean and won't damage their floors through booties. So what happens? Since you can't find employees who can do everything well, you become the only person who can do everything. You have to step into a quota commercial job because your service guy doesn't know how to read prints. Then you have to step in to troubleshoot the complex wiring because your construction guy only knows how to run pipe. Or worse, you get stuck on the tools forever because we all know hiring that someone can do all this stuff 100% is just simply impossible. You become the universal bottleneck. You have to code every job and oversee every project because there's no single standard operating procedure you can train them on. If you put 20% of your effort into 5 different business models, you'll be 100% mediocre at all of them. You'll never build the systems, the reputation, or the efficiency needed to actually scale and get off the tools. Not to mention, buyers will pay 30 to 50% premiums for businesses that demonstrate specialized expertise, while generalist businesses are forced to compete on price. It's the truth that this is the business model most of us came up in, and totally the reason you started doing it with your own business. But just think for a second how much easier your business would be if you just picked your favorite part of the industry and stuck to it. Yeah, you might not be as busy, you might have to lay some guys off even, but don't forget, you started this business to get off the tools, to make some real money, and eventually get some freedom. And there's no doubt that becoming a professional at one part of the industry will fast track this. And if you want to see how the best electrical businesses in the industry have fine-tuned their service call system, click this video I made for you here to watch.